What's happening, everybody? It's that time again. I'm gonna talk about what I think is the problem with the food industry, the kind of food that's provided to us, especially in restaurants. Now, I love my food. I love eating out. I love trying out different foods. I think that food is not only just kind of your energy source, but it's also in terms of us humans as a intelligent species. Food is art. Right? I love cooking myself, so I understand the art part of the food. But here's the problem in terms of health and fitness is that it's just not enough protein. Many places they don't have enough protein. And it's been shown by science that if the ratio of your macros is more leaning towards protein, you're less likely to gain fat, and you're more likely to stay lean. There's a study recently done on I think was trained people, and they split these people into two groups. The first group ate so they both ate about 800 calorie surplus. The first group ate mostly protein. The second group did an even split, so like 1/3 protein, 1/3 carbs, 1/3 fat. So again, both groups were in a surplus of 800 calories. What they found is that the second group gained fat, obviously, but the first group didn't gain much fat. The first group gained, in fact, mostly muscles. So that study was a breakthrough. It really showed that the importance of protein and how it's not likely to be stored as fat. So that's why when you see foods offered at restaurants nowadays, it's like all carbs, all fats, and very little protein. You go to a Chinese restaurant, it's like they give you a little dab of meat and then like a bunch of rice. And it's like the same for many other, cuisines. Italian cuisines, Jesus, it's like all pasta and then cheese. So that's like more carbs and more fats. And then the meats is like a little dab of ground beef or whatever. Like, not enough. This is why I created the protein to calorie ratio. It's clear that when the protein to calorie ratio is high, meaning more protein for less calories, that's really the way to stay lean. If you did any macronutrient planning before, and you know that you have a certain amount of calories to work with, and you also need to hit a certain level of protein, and if you've gotten lean, you understand that that is a lot of protein to hit. So because you need a high amount of protein and a limited amount of calories to work with, naturally your carbs and fats can't be that high. Definitely not at the amount that's offered by most restaurants. So that's the problem. Many restaurants aren't up to par with the protein to calorie ratio. It's just, I'm not demonizing carbs or fats because they are important in each of their kind of function, but is just too much. There's always an amount that's needed, and it's just too much. So I feel like, just take our breakfast for example. You got like pancakes, you got like waffle, you got French toast, and then you got like a few slices of bacon, which is like very, very minimal in protein, but a shitload of fat. You see what I mean? Like, it's just so carb focused. And that's the same with like Asian breakfast too, like Chinese breakfast. Chinese breakfast is like all noodles, like Chinese buns, pancakes. Again, all carbs. Maybe it's because back in the old days, there's a lot of people, but we're more or less kind of like poor and can't afford meats because protein is more expensive and we gotta feed everybody. Maybe that's why our traditional breakfast is so carb focused, and you gotta eat the breakfast, you know, it's the most important meal of the day. Yeah, because you're poor, and if you don't eat breakfast, you're gonna be hungry for the rest of the day. But that's not the case anymore. That's not the case in today's society anymore. So I find that's the main problem with our food system, with our restaurants, and that traditional belief of what we should eat. Because it's like, some people, when I have experience where I tell my clients, hey, like, you gotta eat a little more protein during breakfast. They look at me weirdly. They're like, it doesn't feel right eating meat for breakfast, for a first meal. It feels weird eating meat. Like, they tell me if it feels more right eating buns or like bread or like pancakes. That's the problem. Like, it's almost ingrained in our brains that breakfast is like carb loading, and that's the way to your average Joe today, which is a overweight, lack of energy kind of person. So that's my rant for today. I find that people's concept of food and proportioning of kind of your macronutrients is just way off. Focus on protein to calorie ratio should be high. The more you choose high protein to calorie ratio foods, the more likely you're gonna stay lean. All right, take care.